Hello, the internet. This is Mike, welcoming you to another episode of the Ghost Light Social, the show where we bring creatives together to talk nonsense over the internet.
Hello everyone. How are we doing? How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing all right, thanks. Yeah.
How's your persistent cough?
It's not too bad. I haven't been like corona coughing, but my neighbour, whose house we have paper thin walls, my neighbour was very intrigued by my cough and was calling her husband to come and have a listen. Oh, come listen, he's coughing. Has he got it? Oh, tell you.
Is this the same neighbour that sings the hand washing song?
It is, yeah, she has. She's got a hand washing song, and it's not Happy Birthday. What you'd expect? It is. This is the song where I wash my hands, wash my like that. In fact, today I heard her fall downstairs, and she said a really nasty swear.
You heard her fall down the stairs?
Yeah, I laughed.
Did you not go around?
No, not in the slightest. Not the things I've heard her get up to in that whirlpool bath. Tell you.
Okay, fair enough. If you have a whirlpool bath, you've got to get up to stuff, haven't you?
Just for a bit of context, our bathrooms share a wall. So when I'm in the bath and she's in the bath, we may as well just be in the bath together.
Do you time it? Are you listening for her to get in the bath and then you get in?
Not in the slightest. It's just a happy.
Right.
It's
a happy coincidence.
It's just a coincidence.
Right. Okay. Not a happy coincidence.
No.
Just a coincidence.
Just a coincidence. Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to people that are giving stuff away for free. NT Live, which is going out free. Oldham Coliseum, who have put some free stuff on today as well. A mental health podcast that Red Ladder were involved in, and they've put a version of their play that they were doing on that as well. So I want a big shout out for them for giving stuff away for free. Our first guest is a director, a choreographer, a movement director, and probably many other things which she'll tell us about as well. Natasha Harrison.
Oh God, no!
And I particularly love that picture on her website. I think that's on the third floor of their townhouse in Islington. However, a couple of things about Natasha. I worked with Natasha recently, and we'll talk about this as well, at Oldham Coliseum on a play called 4 minutes, 12 seconds. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But what I noticed down here is that Natasha is associate of Red Ladder Theatre Company. She's also education associate practitioner, whatever that means. She's going to tell us about that in a minute. For the RSC, she has a movement podcast, which is there on her. So if you're into movement and all that kind of stuff, and the wheeling technique I noticed there, which we might talk about too. But if I'd have known that Natasha was that important, I'd have been much nicer to her in that rehearsal room. And we also have with us, and I'm sorry about this, Tom.
Yeah, what are you doing?
But we have Tom Lorcan, and I've just put his spotlight page up, basically.
What are you doing?
But let me tell you, Tom is a proper actor. Not like us just pissing about it. This is National Theatre, RSC. I noticed One Man, Two Governors in there as well. Let's get on with meeting our guests. Hello. How are you?
Thank you for that. That was a
unexpected CV explosion.
Yeah. Well, you never know. There might be somebody watching that cares. You know what I mean?
There you go.
There might not be, but beautiful house that you've got.
very good. No, that was I had to do that shoot as part of the Orbit 12, and I hate being on camera. And that was one of the only photos that they sent me back where I wasn't like just so embarrassed. I literally was like,
just pulling faces.
Yeah, so that was the only one, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So that's actually in the.
That's like one of the bars at the Old
Vic.
Tell me about the Movement podcast, because you kept that one quiet.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd never heard of it. So tell us what it is.
It's basically it's just like a podcast.
Brilliant.
The podcast.
I kind of started it because I felt like there wasn't a lot of kind of resources with people that wanted to do stuff that couldn't get to London. So I kind of interviewed some amazing movement directors who I've had the chance to kind of meet along my kind of career, and people that just agreed to do it as well. And I think they agreed to do it because I said I was recording it at the Old Vic, and I think they thought they were going to be on stage at the Old Vic, and then I kind of shoved them in an office, just like one of like the.
Thing is that I've been sort of tasked with the unfortunate job of editing the movement podcasts to try and get them like from an hour and a half sort of chat to
like
40 minute chunks, but with Rod, because Tash and Rod get on so well, it was just them two having a chat and a laugh for most of it, and then me having to kind of piece chunks together to try and make some sort of coherent thing.
Me and Rod are like two dyslexics as well. The pathway was just like.
Education associate practitioner.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It's basically I just do workshops for the RSC. So I go into schools.
Oh, I just do some workshops for the RSC. You know.
Cool though, because you get to go into like I don't know Bradford and then teach them about like do like an R&J workshop, and they get all excited where you can like just make Shakespeare fun.
Every year they run a tour that goes around theatres and like schools and then into communities and stuff like that. And so it's about making Shakespeare as accessible as possible to people who wouldn't normally get it.
Movement is a good way in because I can kind of just talk about all the other stuff around the text that helps them kind of crack it open. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I haven't really spoken to you about anything yet, Tom. So before I go into some questions,
it's all right. I interrupted all Tash's stuff.
Yeah, you did. You hijacked it. So RSC, National, Shakespeare's Rose. Don't want to talk about any of that because I don't care.
Fair enough.
Because I haven't worked at any of those places. But what I am interested in, actually, just on that, because you've done quite a lot of Shakespeare.
Yeah, all relatively recently, though, in terms of my career, because similar to you, really. I mean, I'm from Leeds as well. School-wise, I didn't really have much interaction with it. Sixth form college, I think we read King Lear around a table in English, and like I had no idea what were going on. And then as an actor, because I didn't start I didn't go to a drama school and do acting. I did musical theatre as a course. And so I really wasn't on that route at all. And so it was really, I think it was 2017 that I got a season at the RSC after badgering them for years. With emailing Hannah Miller, the casting director there, to try and invite her to everything I ever did.
Everyone's going to do that now.
Yeah, do it. You should all do it. And then it kind of snowballed, and I ended up doing about maybe 5 or 6 productions over 3 years. But you know what? Even at what you would expect to be like the top level, at the RSC, like when we sit down in a rehearsal room at the start of a production, nobody knows exactly what's going on in every single line. Like you do have to investigate it all, and no one's got all the answers. It's a lot of it comes down to interpretation as well, and it's not like there's no right or wrong really. So that was quite refreshing in a sense. After all the sort of anxiety and fear of feeling like I should know what I'm doing, I sit with a bunch of people that have been there for years, and they go like, well, I don't know either. That's my first day at the RSC. I was absolutely shitting myself. And then the first thing we did, it was for a Roman season of plays. And the first thing we did was the director said, should we all just collectively like write down on a big whiteboard thing on the wall, a timeline of Roman history? And I was just like,
yeah, where's the pen?
But people putting their hands up and going like, oh yeah, the assassination of Caesar was on this day, and like Pompey was murdered on this day, and this battle was here, and loads of people had loads of education about it, and were just far more educated in that sort of stuff than I am.
Oh, they just done their research for it. They knew what was coming.
Definitely.
Come on.
But then once it got to the actual, so I did feel like at the end of the first day, I thought, oh fuck's sake, like this is me for a year and a half, just not knowing what the hell's going on. But then as soon as we got into the text stuff, then I realised
we're all shit actors, and it made no difference anyway.
Exactly, yeah. Everyone's blagging it.
Yeah, everybody's blagging it. Everyone's blagging it.
Yeah.
Cool.
The RSC, everyone's blagging it. Done.
And just before we moved on, one thing that I had forgotten about, but Tash did tell me. So I don't know whether it got stopped because of the coronavirus, but you've done Beryl.
Oh yeah,
Maxine.
We did it in the East Riding Theatre in Beverley.
Oh yeah,
it's a really brilliant little theatre that's independently run and really fantastic little space. and we did it there with one of the directors that I met in Stratford upon Avon, called Marika Audsley, who's a really fantastic director. But I'd done a couple of shows with her there, so she said, "Do I want to do this play in Beverley?" She said, "And it's set in Leeds, so it's right for you." So I went and did it, and then we got a transfer to the Arcola Theatre in London, which we never expected. So we did it for a month there before Christmas, and then because it's Beryl Burton and the story's so good, and Maxine Peake's the writer, I think it just took off really, and then we did another run just after Christmas.
Wow.
So great.
He has been doing Beryl for like 7 years.
Yeah.
Now. I'm just like, could you be doing anything else?
I need to do something else.
It is a wonderful story. It's a wonderful play, a wonderful story.
I can't believe she's not more wider known. She's an amazing woman.
Well, yeah, Beryl Burton, absolutely, yeah. Because we played the same part.
Did we? You
Yeah.
Charlie Burton?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it'd be a great Charlie Burton.
Where did you do it?
At the West Yorkshire Playhouse. So because they were the ones that commissioned Maxine to write it.
Right.
So I played Charlie. I didn't. To be fair, I didn't play him first.
But that production that you did, I auditioned for that production.
All right.
But for the younger track.
A couple of questions for you. First thing is we've got this coronavirus playlist that we're putting together, which we're asking everybody to contribute to. So what have you got? What have you got for us?
Okay, mine is Super Trooper by ABBA.
Oh
For a
my
really
God.
good reason, and because the other day we had to go to our flat to go and put some. So we're in Folkestone, and we'll tell you why in a minute.
Okay.
No, but what did we do? Oh yeah, we had to go to London to put electricity on our flat so our freezer doesn't leak everywhere. And then on the way up, we were like, "Oh, we'll drive up because we don't want to get stopped or anything." And then we were driving up and like listening to like 80s tunes, like blaring them out and having like a proper amazing time. And then that song came on, and then we had like loads of ambulances like swoosh past us and some hearses, and then suddenly we were like, we shouldn't be having a good time. It was so bad. We felt really shit, so we were just like, that's why I'm giving you that. Also, good to be Super Troopers at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. But the fact that ambulances did go past and the fact that a hearse did is probably a reason that you should have a good time, because we don't know when this is going to end, do we?
Like when you just lose yourself for a minute, like we were just proper bopping along, singing Super Trooper, and then we realised that we're in the middle of a pandemic and loads
and
of
I
bad
just like
stuff's
I
going
hate
on.
the idea that like we just weren't thinking, and then like these like ambulance drivers are looking over and we and all that.
What I am interested in though is
Oh.
how slow were you driving for a hearse to go past?
Tash is very speedy. I've got Escape, the Pina Colada song. I can't remember the artist. I think it's Rupert something.
You can't remember, you know.
Pina Colada.
Pina Colada. Okay, all right.
Just
Why?
like that song?
Okay, fair enough.
No, it was. Why were we talking about it? We were talking about it the other day, and I was like, "That's a really good song because it's got a great story." And then, because it does, it's got a really brilliant story about people like who live together but really disconnected, and then through their little thing with the newspaper, they reconnect. And I thought, we're all living together in like isolation with
You're
different
just
people.
trying to make this connect.
And
Thing.
Synergy.
It's such bullshit.
Mike,
That's my justification for Pina Colada.
Hello.
do you know the Pina Colada song?
I have no idea.
Um,
Is it the...
If you like pina colada.
That's it. I'm really glad you sang that because I was about to. And I now don't have to.
It's a brilliant song.
It's amazing.
And it's got a lovely story behind it, apparently.
Yeah.
It does. Listen
Beautiful
to the
story behind it. Okay, I'll take your word. Well, I'll be listening to it tomorrow, so that's okay. What is the most coronavirus thing you have done since we've been locked down?
Okay, well,
Ready? We're gonna
my
show
mum.
you.
We came home, and then the other day, and my mum put these on the bed for us. You ready? The best part about it is that they're not hygienic at all. They're fashion.
Are they?
from like, so I don't know where they're from, but they're fashion masks.
But we look like we're going to murder someone.
That's amazing.
I think it's a bit sort of horrifying, actually. It's a bit sort of horror movie-y.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a little bit
sinister.
It's a little bit like if you had like a woolly hat, how you'd just be like hanging around on street corners with your tracksuits on and a BMX.
Yeah.
It feels very much like that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
So your mum left you those on the bed?
I mean, there's not really like, yeah.
Let's not go there, Lee.
We're here because all my family are key workers and work for the NHS, so that's why we're here. And also they have we've got Isla who's 6. No, she's not. She's 5. So sorry.
Well, I hope she's not watching.
Obviously, I'm
sorry, Isla, if
and
you're
be
watching.
like, she's on there. I love it.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
That's a good reason.
So we're down here for a good deed. We're doing
childcare for people.
Because I thought you were just at your second home.
Just having a look at time.
Yeah, just gone to your house in Cornwall.
It is a bit like we get up and do like nice creative things, and then we go for a run, and then we read, and then we watch a bit of TV.
Yeah, it's a bit like
you actually do that, don't you?
Yeah. I know,
that's because of the NT Live.
Yeah, you plugged One Man Two Governors. We're watching that and like setting up a little fake theatre in the house, and we're gonna have interval drinks and ice creams and stuff.
Are you definitely doing that?
Yeah.
Because you did that, didn't you? Is that your production, or did you do it after that?
I did it after Cord, and I did it at the Haymarket Theatre.
Oh, right.
But yeah, thanks for that little plug, little clang.
Some people think we throw this together.
We do. To compare kind of our days, I love the sound of that day. That sounds amazing, just to kind of get up and be creative and then do stuff, especially like, obviously the people who you're there are doing a grand job, so little things like that will probably mean an awful lot, which is to be applauded. My day, on the other hand, is pretty much constant CBeebies.
He hasn't even got any kids. He just sits.
I do. I have a daughter. But today was the day when I think it finally broke me. It was just been one of those days where we had his tea and we had like a roast dinner and stuff, and it was really nice, and and then it got to maybe about 5 o'clock, and I just had this urge just to go stand in the garden. I couldn't be around anybody. I didn't want to have like Mr. Tumble talking to me. I didn't want anybody. I just got it from the table and went, I'm going to go stand in the garden.
How many toilet rolls do we have in the house?
I think
a lot.
I think lots, because my mum did an order on Amazon like a month ago when she thought it was going to go down, and then they all got delivered, and it was like sky high.
Got loads.
But then she started giving them away. So yeah, we've got like my nan's old, so we've been kind of dropping stuff through her window.
You've been throwing stuff through a window?
Yeah.
Well, obviously you don't want to go in.
No, would not be good.
How many units of alcohol have you had in the last 48 hours?
Not that many.
I honestly.
Oh no, I don't know. This is my first beer of the week, or second beer of the week.
Let's go for 5.
Yeah.
5 units?
Is that a lot?
No.
The doctor asks you, and you're like,
It's probably
It's like 2.5 pints, isn't it?
When did we drink that Prosecco?
Probably while you're doing your crafts and reading.
It's like we're on holiday.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's actually quite nice.
Okay, so we'll say probably more than 5. And what I'm after is sort of a favourite moment.
Well, I did a film called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and
sorry, what?
Pride and Prejudice
and Zombies.
Yeah.
I'm working relentlessly for this. Every film he does, I just added like a horror person on the end.
I had to go and do the read through, and we filmed it at Pinewood, so it was like on location, but Pinewood was the studio stuff, and I'd never worked at Pinewood before, never been like anywhere near it really. But when I was there for a rehearsal day, Harrison Ford went past me on a whatchamacallit, little like golf buggy as I was just walking along, and I was like, "That's Harrison Ford. There we go."
And did he go, "Oh, it's Tom Lorcan"?
He shouted Marcello Bielsa at me. I know.
Yes, of course he did.
No,
Of course he did.
but he had a pot on his foot. He was on like a crutch because it was when he was doing, I think, Star Wars.
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
That's when they shut the door, the Millennium Falcon shot on his. Did I still say shat? I think I said shat on him. Yeah. Shut on him.
You don't want to get shot on by a Millennium Falcon.
No.
That was a lovely experience.
I don't even know who Harrison Ford is.
He's married to Ally McBeal. Does that help?
Indiana Jones.
I was trying to think outside of his filmography then, what else he's known for. That's the only other thing I could think of. He's stoned and has an earring.
The fact that you went to that for a thing that's recognisable about Harrison Ford.
It was the only thing outside of his CV I could think of.
4 minutes, 12 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to talk about this because.
Well, can I just stop here? As sweet as that would be, saying working with me, I think choose something else.
Wasn't going to say.
Yeah, we'll edit that.
I was actually going to say that. I think that was when we did the first preview of that was the first moment where we'd done all this whole 4 weeks of working, just having the audience in for that first night. And I think if you work as a director, you must think what you're doing. You're doing your best this whole time, putting out fires, and you're kind of like in your head, you're like, I think no one's going to clap the show. And then as soon as it opened, people were just like laughing and having the best time. I mean, you were there, listening over to Chris Lawson, and he looked at me, and we both just had this moment where we were just like, oh my God, this is great. Like, this is good. And people were loving it. And just that moment was really clarifying for us as well, because it was such an interesting process. And yeah, that moment was just really lovely. And I think that's probably just still in my ether because it's so recent. So
it doesn't matter how much work you do, you're not quite sure what you've got until it's in front of an audience. I hope little regional theatres like that don't suffer too much in this current state, because it must be really, really hard. We must talk a little bit about Leeds. We're going to have to do that.
We don't have to.
Have a good night.
Natasha's gone to get a drink. Is the season going to finish?
Oh, don't. I'm really stressed about it. I think the thing I'm most stressed about is apart from obviously the obvious stuff, but the fact that they're talking about not finishing it is because of where we are, Leeds, and the stage we're at in the season. It just feels unthinkable for me. Whereas I know maybe West Ham fans have got, they're more scared of relegation, so they'll be happy to scrap the season, I reckon.
Yeah. Call it quits.
Well, she said that, didn't she, your chief exec?
Yeah.
She was the first one that said it, I think.
Yeah, there was her and I think Daniel Levy was the other. There was two representatives of Premier League clubs of both, and it was Tottenham and West Ham, which is the only time Tottenham and West Ham have ever agreed on anything. Do you know what I mean?
Anyone saying that Bielsa might leave makes me feel literally sick. They really, the football league and the Premier League, they seem like they're really committed to trying the best to getting the games played. And if that means, I liked Gary Neville's idea that he tweeted out about just playing the games as late as possible and then shortening the following season. And I'd be well up for that. There's a bit of me that if they gift Raptors promotion now, I would obviously, I'd love it. It would be amazing to be back in the Premier League, but there'd be a little bit of me that would think, we should have finished the season. We should play it out. We should show that we earned it, because there'll always be the people that will always say,
you'd have bottled it. Oh, yeah.
It's Leeds, and you probably would have bottled it.
Yeah.
Most of my work comes through movement direction as well, and that as a title is gaining more ground, and producers are more happy to have people like that on the team and allowing budget for that. And my main worry is that when we kind of come back from this, teams are going to be cut down to the bare essentials of what theatre needs to tell the story. Sometimes the thing that's culled, unless directors really kind of
fight for
you as a
A lot of shows are closing because of the lack of the lack of funding to stay ahead. Like Waitress, I think, has just announced that it's shutting in the West End. It was due to be going on, and a friend of mine's in a play in town that was due to run into July, and they were talking about extending on to September, but that's shutting as well. So I think we'll go back to a lot of empty theatres in London as well as around the country.
The things that kind of are endlessly there, I understand why they're there, but it just means that there's less space for new writing or new things to appear and kind of take those positions.
It could go one or two ways, couldn't it? I mean, we could go back to a very broken industry that's really struggling financially, and that probably will happen. But there could be a bit of a renaissance or a rebirth, if you will, like of just new work having room to be on. And an appetite for it, and like right now, I mean, there's 70,000 performers on Spotlight, isn't there? And there's, like, I would say at the best of times, 90% of them, or 92%, I think, are out of work. I mean, my only hope is that people can last the time off.
That's the main thing, isn't it? It's like I feel like I'm lucky because I do a bit of teaching as well. I do some lecturing. I just feel for people that are fucking at the start of their career, or year 3 actors coming out of drama schools, not knowing if agents are going to have the capacity to take them. Like, we are in a somewhat privileged position for being where we are in our careers. Like, and people aren't in the same boat, and I really hope those people are able to stick it out, because it's going to be a storm, isn't it?
Might be a collective change in attitude across the industry that's needed, about accessibility, not just seeing the same actors from the same agents all the time, and same for creatives as well, not just employing the same people, but opening it up and meeting new people. The people that I worry about are the people that don't get work and that support their career by working in their sort of muggle jobs as much as possible. People who never get work anyway. I feel like if the industry is going to close down and get smaller and be harder work for the people who do work, I just worry for the people that are trying to break in.
As much as there is that kind of realization that the industry is going to be different afterwards, and as you said, that there's a possibility that it is going to be a lot smaller, and those routes are going to be a lot harder. I think some people are going to come out of this with a lot of knowledge and a lot of desire and a lot of positivity and confidence in the stuff they've been doing while we've been off, in creating their own stuff.
Like you're saying, even with these like new skills that you're acquiring in this time, like a lot of my lecturing now has to be done online, so I'm suddenly like going like, how do I transmit all of this like movement experience to something more digital? And actually I think with the way that the world's going anyway, like that's something that we should be doing. I
think that's the positive thing, isn't it, that's coming out of it, is the human reaction in those places where you feel like they might not be accessible to us as actors on a normal basis. Like, we can't just have a chat with a casting director or have access to those people. But I hope that producers and the big theatres like the Old Vic, the National, RSC, all those places, those big establishments that sort of lead the market, I hope they follow suit as the industry does come back and they keep those doors open. I think that's really important. So if there was a message to get out at any point on social media, I think badger those places to be open doors. Yeah.
Tom designed his own website, and it was exactly the same as my website because he liked mine. And so I was like, no, you can fuck off.
All the stuff you learn at drama school, and you create character, and then you sort of going, yeah, exactly. And you're an empty vessel waiting to be filled by the writer's intentions, and you've got to just walk in and say, what can I get you, sir? What are you going to do with that? You're not going to do anything with it.
I had to do a self-tape before Christmas, which was, yes, Your Grace.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Was it for the crown?
No, it wasn't. No.
You lot. Damn. You got friends to come round and help you with it.
Yeah, I got someone to come and help me with it.
Of course you did. We need to round up, don't we? We haven't mentioned once for anybody to subscribe.
Yeah, because I'm going to do that at the end.
Don't do it at the end. We need to do it at the beginning and in the middle and at the end.
They went ages ago. They're all gone.
Yeah, there's only us now.
We're back on Monday because it's the 6th of April, so we're having a little bit of a tax special. We have my accountant coming on. Not talking about my accounts.
No, we're going to go through Lee's books in detail.
So yeah, and we also have Dominic Bascom coming on from Equity. Equity are working quite hard at the moment to try and get a little bit of extra help for people that are dropping through the net. But if you're struggling, you don't earn hardly anything, and you're doing your PAYE jobs on the side, you're saying your muggle job, and you haven't got that anymore, you're going to get nothing. Thank you again to Natasha Harrison and Tom Lorcan. Lovely to see you. Hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was Natasha and that was Tom. Thank you very much, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share this. Once this goes out live, you will be able to watch it again back. So send it to your friends. Thank you to Sarah Mulligan, who was commenting. So join us next Monday, where we're going to be talking enthusiastically and entertainingly about tax returns. Believe it when you come here Monday 8 o'clock live on YouTube. Thanks very much for joining us on the Ghost Light Social this week. Don't forget, join us Monday 8 p.m. Stay safe, wash your hands, you dirty scrubbers.